Search for the truth. So, what is truth? That's, I think, a question that probably came to the mind of so many and will come in the mind of so many others. Trying to figure out what is truth in life. I mean, many people come into this world following a religion, could be any religion, and some come in this world not following any religion, need to be atheist or agnostic. So people start in this world at different states, different mindsets, different emotional states. When I say emotional, I'll call it spirituality states. And from there, you can say we embark in this world to find out what is the truth. And the thing I'm trying to work on has been a while, been working on, trying to ponder about it. Yes, I follow one of these religions, but regardless which religion I follow, I try to open the mind and think, what is the way to get to the truth about life? What's going to happen next, especially after death? Is there a God or not? Is there one more or two more gods with it or not? If there's no God, is it a light source that's there, or is it nothing? That's a really, very good questions that people question all the time. And with the generations that we are coming into, with the fast-paced life that we're in, with the technology that we are very absorbed into, unfortunately, it's becoming harder and harder to actually see the truth. And I'm going to try to explain it in one way or another. Maybe it's not going to be clear to many, but hopefully it might be a stepping stone to the next step into knowing what is the truth. So in this diagram that I'm going to show and then you're seeing, I talk about two important aspects that are drivers towards something we call a vision. So the two things that drive into something what we call vision is knowledge, which is kind of more or less understood by so many. It's basically, information that comes into the mind by learning it, by reading it, by listening it, or sometimes by experience. So these are all sources of knowledge. So knowledge is one key aspect. The more you know, usually, as an important step to actually getting into closer towards the truth. But the other end of it, which I believe is very hard to kind of understand maybe, is spirituality. What is spirituality? I mean, I'm not religious. What does that mean to me? Well, spirituality, basically, when we talk about something like that, we're talking about some aspect of the heart, which is not the physical form of heart, but the spiritual aspect of heart. The spiritual aspect of the heart likes to beat, like the physical one. It beats hard. It likes to beat a lot. The stronger it beats, the more it would drive your mind to see things that you never seen before. But what happens actually to the spiritual heart? There are forms of layers that cover that heart. And sometimes these layers come into multiple layers. And the more layers covering that heart becomes harder for the spiritual to beat as strong, and slowly it weakens more and more. So what are those layers? Usually these layers are the results of actions of sinful things that we know it's wrong. I'm not saying about the actions we don't know, but actions that we know I'm doing something wrong, but yet I'm still doing it. These are sinful acts that usually form these layers onto the heart. And when it forms that layer on the heart, and the heart, start beating less and less, you start to create some blindness, because the heart, the spiritual heart, is not able to drive the mind as strong anymore, and that's the cause of some blindness. Not the actual blindness, but another form of blindness. It's a spiritual blindness where you're not seeing and you're staying away from the source of the truth. So, unfortunately, we all stand in some way or another with layers onto our spiritual hearts. And the effort that we're trying to work on, it's not an easy effort. It's a very hard effort. how we can remove these layers, one layer after the other, till we eventually reach the ultimate reach to the spiritual heart being naked, beating so hard that it's able to drive the mind. But that's very important. Your mind has to have the proper knowledge. That's why we need knowledge as well. If you're like mindless and you have nothing in your mind and you have a spiritual heart driving it, I don't know what's going to happen next. So we always have to work with the spiritual heart and the spiritual mind both together, driving together to eventually reach to that point where you can step and look at the world, look at the simplest thing in life. Look at the trees, look at the birds, look at a butterfly, look at the sky, look at the cloud. All these things that we feel that are so obvious to us. But yet when you reach that level, you're going to look at it so well. You're going to start staring in awe at those smallest things, and you'll be wondering why I haven't seen all this before. You're looking at the same exact thing. Nothing is different. The world is the same thing. But it's the spiritual heart and the spiritual mind, the mind together. They will make you see details and things that you will never see before. And that's when, once you free the heart and once you free the mind with a lot of information, useful information, together, you will see what is the truth in life. And I am sure you will see it and you will be amazed. And you will be looking at this world in a so different way. You'll be, my. But I'm not going to say what is the truth. The job here that I'm trying to get to, how to lead you towards the state of mind and heart so that you will see the truth and you know it internally inside you. What is the real thing happening about you in this world? And if there's a next life, what is it all about the next life and beyond that? Again, I'm not going to tell you what is it going to be. I'm trying to work you towards it. So, what are the things that we need to know? How can we arrive and reach it? So there's two things again. We go back. First thing, knowledge. Getting information. Reading, listening, discussing, talking. All sorts of knowledge. Usually knowledge is always useful to know, and making sure that you know your sources and you make sure. So you have to always work on that. Usually people understand it. People talk about it and they understand knowledge and the source of knowledge. Now we're going to focus more on the spiritual heart. How can we remove layers and we reach to this free state of heart? Is it possible? Yes. But there's one requirement that is very important that you have to agree to follow. And it's not about being in one of these religions or anything. Yeah, you can be anywhere. It doesn't matter where. But you are willing to actually follow to justice in any action, in any thought that you have. What does that mean? Basically, if you have something happening in your life and you know the right thing to do based on what you know and what you think is, I have to do so and so, and that's the right thing to do. However, my heart, wants the other way. It's a girl, or whether it's a family member, praising you or whatever. Are you gonna submit to the truth and justice, the right thing to do, or are you gonna follow what the heart at this state wants, which is whatever it is? And that's the exam that you and every one of us will follow. And if you are able to submit to the truth, not submit to the current state of the heart, submit to the truth, even though it's hard, even though it feels painful, even though it kind of drives you nuts. I mean, the girl of my dream, this is the girl of my dream. I'm going to lose her just to follow the truth. That's a very kind of a common example I try to give. Then that's when your heart will start losing layers and will soften more and more. And slowly, you're going to move towards what we want. And at the beginning, it feels so painful, but eventually in the long term, you'll even feel better. And then your mind will be glowing even further. And then you will get something even better than what you thought you wanted. It's a very interesting psychological thing, but I'm quite sure about what I'm saying. And every time you go through into another transaction, another test, these tests, as they grow harder and harder, where you have to submit more and more, if you pass them successfully, then the heart will submit more and more to a softness, and the layers will be go away from it. And but again, short term is going to be very hard, but long term you're going to see the beauty, you're going to see the light in the eyes and the mind, and eventually you will see something even beyond what you think it's something you lost as a pleasure. There'll be a pleasure beyond that pleasure that you'll be thanking, whoever you're going to believe in at that time with all your heart. So as a result, with these constant activities of submission to the truth, no matter what, this will keep softening the heart, and at the same time building information and putting information in the mind will grow your mind and knowledge. Together, you're going to form a product called the vision, and that vision is the means of pushing you away and away from the actual wall of life to eventually reach to a point that you can see the entire life with one glance, and your mind will be so amazed and the heart will be so thirsty for more that it's a feeling that's not only for the mind and also for the heart, but you will be introduced to pleasures that's not defined to you ever. You're going to reach to a different level of pleasure that once you reach there, it does not mean that you're going to stay there, because it's a constant battle of staying there. It's a constant battle of submission. It's a constant battle of struggle. But once you reach there for the first time ever, you will understand the true meaning of what is truth, the true meaning of pleasure, the true meaning of the best sensation ever. And you will be living the rest of your life fighting for that and struggling for that and submitting for that. But you need to reach to it only once to understand what is the sensation that you are missing. So that diagram, it gives you a very high level look, but it's a very simple concept. Build up your knowledge, build up your spirituality, which is submission. You're going to build up something called the product of both, which is vision. And the greater vision you have, the deeper understanding of life you have, and the more confidence and happy and content you'll ever be. And maybe what I have in this diagram called Jackpot is the time where you're going to see the true and everlasting truth about life. And you'll be grateful, and you'll be wishing that everyone else in this world would actually experience it. You'll be wanting to share it. You have no sense of greed, no sense of selfishness. No, you're going to be a person who will be, man, I have that beautiful sensation. I see the truth right now in my eyes. I wish everyone else sees that. So I hope this will have a good introduction into it. I'll try to be as high level as possible without going into so many details. And I hope you have benefited. Thank you.